This is a conventional tomato, and this is an heirloom tomato. Have you ever wondered what the difference is? Because this isn't just an oddly shaped tomato. This is the crown gem of your summer farmer's market, and you should be buying more of them. This is how to cook an heirloom tomato. Let's start with the basics. What is a tomato? A tomato is actually a fruit. In fact, it is the fruiting berry of a plant that, in culinary terms, we treat much more like a vegetable. There are over 10,000 cultivars of tomatoes available worldwide, but they can be broadly categorized into two buckets: heirlooms and hybrids. Hybrid tomatoes are engineered for very specific traits, more often than not, long shelf life, very thick skin, and general uniform shape and color. Heirloom tomatoes have been preserved over the generations for completely different traits than hybrids: their beauty and for their sweet taste. Heirloom tomatoes can come in a wide variety of colors. They can be yellow, red, orange, even purple or green. Before I get too far, let me say something. Heirloom tomatoes are not necessarily better than hybrid tomatoes. One of the things that makes heirloom tomatoes so fantastic is that you're finding them fresh grown in the summer. But most tomatoes you buy throughout the year at the grocery store have been picked while they are still green and unripe. So when you pick a tomato early, it's lacking that depth of flavor that it would have if you let it ripen on the vine. Therefore, heirloom tomatoes, which are not commercially produced and almost always picked ripe, will taste better than a conventional year-round tomato. How do you pick a good heirloom tomato at the farmer's market? Tomatoes, like most fruits, continue to ripen after you get them. As a tomato ripens, it becomes squishier and softer. Even in the best of circumstances, heirloom tomatoes will only last a few days on the counter. You can store an heirloom tomato, or any tomato, in the fridge, but it has a negative impact on the texture and taste. Let's talk about how to cook an heirloom tomato. Because an heirloom tomato is a fruit, it's perfectly fine to eat these raw or use them in cooking. They are really well suited for certain purposes and not for others. Heirloom tomatoes are really wasted when you use them in something like a sauce or a curry, because the color is going to disappear in the wash and the extra wateriness will actually make your dish slightly worse. When using heirloom tomatoes raw, try to find a dish that really highlights the beauty and unique size, color, and texture of them. I love using slices of heirloom tomatoes in a caprese salad or on top of a bougie breakfast toast. At this stage in my life, I literally grow heirloom tomatoes for pies every summer. My favorite tomato pie is a goat cheese and heirloom tomato pie, which you can find the recipe for on my blog, karacancook.com. Heirloom tomatoes are beautiful, and they're, in my opinion, one of the most gorgeous things you can get at your summer farmer's market, because 90% of the year, tomatoes are just a background ingredient, but for a few brief weeks in the summer, they become the main event. So I hope you're inspired to buy more. And if there's any ingredients you really want to see me cover on this channel, please leave me a comment. Until next time, I'm Kara, and I can cook.